Hi, I'm Clésia Mendes, and welcome to Womanhood from the Inside Out. In this interview series, we'll be discovering and uncovering the nature of womanhood from the inside out. Why is it important? When does it show? How can we identify it? And what are the implications of womanhood from the inside out? And today, my guest is my dear friend Belinda Bennetts. Belinda is a mentor, coach, author, and loving mother. She empowers women to move through self limiting beliefs and blocks to innate wisdom, joy, and peace, leading them to where they can create and live lives from their authentic life from a place of flow rather than struggle. Welcome, Belinda.
Thank you. It's so lovely to be here. Thanks for the lovely welcome.
Oh, my pleasure. And I was really happy and excited and glad when you sent me a private message saying I would love to be on your show. That was great. And what I would like to find out is what first sparked your interest into these principles?
Well, I sort of stumbled across the three principles. Um, I moved over to where I am now in Belfast, Northern Ireland, in 2014 with my daughter Lucy, who's two. Well, who was two at the time. And I was going through, I'd separated from my husband and I was going through a very low phase and I'd kind of sort of hit a brick wall. And I connected with Marina Pearson, a coach, and she introduced me to the three principles. And just from where I was in my life, it kind of, like I was struggling with depression and anxiety and that sort of thing. And I just sort of got struck with the principles, just struck a chord for me. And I started off by reading Sydney Banks's book, The Missing Link, and sort of never turned back from there. You know, they had such an impact on my life, and just completely turned it around. It was quite incredible. So the principles, in a way, they kind of found me, and then I just sort of never stopped, didn't really turn back from there. I just watched as much as I could on them, and seeing the transformation in my own life was just so incredible that I just knew that I wanted to share it, and it's kind of just evolved from there.
Yeah. And when you were sharing your story, it came to mind a saying that we use a lot in Portugal: when the student is ready, the mentor appears. And
it is so true. You know, I remember thinking to myself, I wish I'd come across this many years ago. And then I think it was my sister who said to me, but if you had, would you have been impacted? And, you know, it's just as you say. I think there comes a time when you're ready, and that's exactly when the student is ready, the teacher will appear.
Yes. So for some people, I've been receiving a lot of feedback via Facebook, and some people, they're like, because they've been studying these principles for a while, it was like, oh my God, I'm really loving what you're doing. They sent the links to, for example, to family members that they spoke with a while ago, but they're not seeing it, and they are really getting impacted by these shows, which I find that is beautiful, and it's an honor for me to be able to contribute in that way. But is for example, what I would like to say really is, if someone has been exploring these principles for a while and they would like to share with their family because it changed their life in an impactful way, and the family is not getting it, it's absolutely fine. It's absolutely fine. It's just the way it is what it is. So there is no extra thinking required about it. It is what it is. People will get it when they get it, if they get it, and whatever happens is absolutely fine.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I think, you know, that all you can do is share what you see, and if that strikes a chord with somebody, then that's perfect, and then, you know, they will evolve and go on their own journey from there. I know, you know, I've had my own moments where I'll be watching, say, a friend or family member, and I'll think, you know, it's just your thinking, and I'll try and point it out to them, but if they're not ready, then, you know, they're not going to see that.
Yes.
So everybody's going on their own journey, really, aren't they? So
True. And what exactly did you see for yourself? Because you told you have been impacted, your life changed, and What have you seen? What really made a difference for you?
I think, the biggest thing for me was, well, where do I start? Right from when I was very young, I struggled with being really shy and I was quite a serious child. And then I struggled with self-consciousness and things like that, and feelings of not being good enough. And then when I got to 12 years old, it developed anorexia, and it kind of snowballed from there. I fell into depression and alcohol dependence and things like that. And, I'm in my, just over 35 now. So for the majority of my life, I was stuck in thinking that there was something wrong with me and that I was, kind of broken in some way and needed to be fixed. And the biggest impact that the principles had for me was when I realized that it actually just came down to my thinking, in the moment, that I kind of started with the first wave of kind of self-consciousness and things like that, and my thinking just evolved from there. And it was coming to that place within where I realized I wasn't broken, I didn't need to be fixed. And basically, it wasn't my external environment that had been making me so unhappy, it was actually my thinking. So that was enormous for me, because I'd spent years going to counselors, and I'd done, worked with different techniques. I'd read every self-help book I could get my hands on, and nothing had really made a lasting difference for me until I was just like, wow, it's just thinking, and that's not who I am. So it was quite profound. It was a huge internal shift and transformation for me. Yeah. Which, of course, I want to now share with everybody.
Which makes sense. I was talking with one of my mentors in here today, and I'm very big in personal development. Actually, it has been a passion of mine since I was 19 years old. Now, because we are on camera, I'm not going to tell you how old I am, but I may be older than you think. And I was speaking with my mentor, and I said, because I so much love learning. I'm so in love with learning. My belief is that we are always learning. Life makes part of the playground of life. You're always learning. And for many techniques or even ways of thinking, philosophies, I could be studying a subject for 5 years without sharing with no one, because it was my thing. It's just for me, just for fun, never tell anyone. I guess Amazon loves me because I invested a lot of money in audiobooks and all the programs and seminars. I've done the entire thing. But this time around, once I got something via insight, that insight propelled me to start sharing what I know. And I'm not attached to the outcome whatsoever. It's like, this is what I'm seeing right now. And then came the idea of inviting more people to the show and say, oh, I would like to find out, what have you seen? What sort of impact has had in your life? So it's not only my experience, it's other people's experiences, because all voices are required. But it's the first time around that I'm finding myself sharing so quickly, from the point of having the insights to start sharing to the world. So that is quite new. And sharing in terms of seeing things, I am aware that you published a book recently. Would you like to tell us more about tell us a little bit about your book, please?
Yeah, sure, I'd love to. So my book's called Fear to Love, An Inner Journey Home. And I started my book last year in September. And it was when I remember I was sitting in my bedroom and I looked in the mirror and I just asked the question, who am I? And I burst into tears because I realized that I didn't know anymore. Like, my identity had been so wrapped up in being a wife and being a mother and the life that I had in New Zealand, and a number of other things. And then I had this big urge to just start writing, because writing is my passion. It's what I love to do. So I put pen to paper and I wrote. And a lot of the time I meditated before I wrote, and I was actually able to kind of go back into the energy of myself as a very young child and sort of trace back right to when I set core beliefs in like the first 4 years of life, 4 or 5 years of life, and I wrote about them and kind of realized how those core beliefs had sort of set the path for the rest of my life up until that point. You know, the core beliefs of guilt and, well, not really guilt, that's more an emotion, but, you know, not being enough and all those sort of things, and how it had snowballed from there. And it was at the same time as I was writing my book that I was introduced to the principles. So it was quite profound, because I was going through my journey of writing this book, and at the same time, you know, having insights and discovering things. So I put that in the book as well, which was quite amazing. So it was like this huge transformational process all going on at the same time. And I came to the end of my book in December, and literally, like, when I opened the first few pages, the person that I saw myself as when I started the book to the person at the end, it was like a different person. Like, I felt like I was a different person. So yeah, it was quite amazing.
Yeah, transformation. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And one of the things I also noticed, so you've been quite active this week, because it has been is the Women's Month, or we had a couple of International Women's Day celebration on the 8th of March. And you also have been involved of a couple of events. Could you tell us the most recent ones, about the most recent ones?
Yeah, sure. I was involved with an event called Women Allowed NI, Northern Ireland, which was created to promote female writers in Northern Ireland. And it started out with an idea that the lady that organised the event, Jane Talbot, she came up with the idea and ran it by a few other people. I think it was only in like January, and it snowballed from there. And so, yeah, on Tuesday the 8th, 130 female writers read part of their work at different events throughout the country, which was incredible. And I was involved in two events, one at lunchtime in the city centre and another one in the evening at No Alibis bookstore, which was fantastic. There were 27 of us. All reading, and it was so powerful. It was just it was really incredible. So yes, I've been quite busy doing that, and yeah, felt really honoured to be part of that process.
Yes, and one of the reasons why I asked you if you could share that information with us is because, based on what you told us in the beginning of the program, of being a child that used to lack self-confidence or self-belief, there was a lot of thinking about that, and now you find yourself being a mentor, coach, author, and doing these sort of events. That is proof of transformation, because one thing is to say people, oh yeah, I feel transformed, but the other thing is, if you're doing things that so differently, that is proof of transformation.
Yes.
So from a three-piece perspective, what would you tell to women out there who may be struggling with the challenge of depression, anorexia, the self-doubt? What would you tell to those women?
I think the biggest thing that I would love to tell them is if they could just see that inside themselves, underneath it all, they're still complete and they're still whole, that no part of them is broken. Because I think that the biggest thing around, depression and struggling and things like that is that people can lose hope. They can lose hope in their own recovery, and they can start to label themselves. I know I did, that I am depressed, or I am anxious, I suffer panic attacks and things like that, and that can become a huge part of your identity. So I think what I'd like to say to them is just be open to exploring the fact that underneath it all, that's not who you are at all, that you're actually perfect and really complete as you are underneath it all.
Yes. And when I hear that, the way I'm hearing it is not saying, oh, you underneath, you're not broken, you're not damaged, you go tiger, you can go. It has nothing to do with that. It goes beyond it, because the intelligence of life, the source of everything, where before the state of form, there is the potential and the capacity for everything is available. So the question is, what gets in the way of sometimes accessing all that resourcefulness? And I would say only 99% of the times what gets in the way is the thinking or the labels. We think, oh, when we think, oh, I used to be a young child, so, or my parents told me that I was shy, therefore that's the way I see myself. And by the principle of thought, because the way you experience life is via thought, if we are thinking that that is what we're going to experience, so that is what it gets in the way of accessing all the insight and well-being and peace, innate wisdom that you were talking about. Would you say that I'm in the right direction there? Or?
Yeah, definitely. And I think, excuse me, I think, the thing is that it's very easy, that becomes your identity in such a big way that if somebody stands in front of you and says, you're not broken, there's nothing, you're actually fine underneath it all, it can be quite difficult to see it that way because, you're not experiencing that at all, and that your reality doesn't show that at all. So I think it would be more, the invitation to just explore the fact that there's the possibility that underneath it all you are still fine. Do you know what I mean? It's an invitation to them to explore that rather than trying to force it onto people and say, this is the way it is.
Yeah. I just had a visual. It's like, so if somebody, we've seen images from the space, if someone, there is not so much from the very far from the space, but there is like a certain distance. If you're looking from the space to the earth and you see a lot of clouds from the outside, you may think that the earth is all made of clouds, but then when you get back into atmosphere, you realize that the clouds are not as solid as they seem. So to me, it was just the image that I got. So when you say underneath you find, it's like, yes, underneath is your core. And the more deeper you get into the earth, there is all that energy still bubbling up, several levels. But it seems, all that thinking seems really real, but is as transient as clouds. It just looks that way, but it's not that way.
Exactly. And it looks very real. I mean, when you're in the thick of thinking, it's so real. It can be quite frightening, but exactly, it's just like clouds, isn't it? It's just like a storm, a weather storm. There's lightning and thunder and everything, but when that clears, the sky is still blue. And, the sky is always blue. It's just the clouds cover over.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think, it's also exploring, I think I got quite caught up in, I thought that when we set, excuse me, our core beliefs in early childhood, that determines who we are. And there's a lot of literature out there that says that that's the way. But it's not that at all. I mean, you don't even really need to know what your core beliefs that you said when you were 4 years old are. It's just understanding. It's understanding thought, really, isn't it? Understanding that your thinking is not who you are. Yeah. So change can be literally in an instant, in the moment.
Yes.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? It's a beautiful space of peace all the time.
It is. And sometimes that happens. I'm having conversations with people over Skype and it goes really quiet and we feel quite comfortable enough just to enjoy that space. Because, I think it was Chip Shipman who said there is information in a feeling.
Yes.
So sometimes you just get a feeling, so you just bask into it and see whatever is bubbling up to bubble up. So one of the things that I did do when I was looking for new guests before I got your message is that I put a request for mothers, right? And then I guess what was one of the reasons why you got in touch. And you did mention that you've got a little girl called Lucy.
Yeah.
How has this understanding changed your motherhood style? Or you call it parenthood, isn't it? Sorry.
Either or, doesn't matter. Yeah. I would have to say it's had a huge effect on parenthood, motherhood for me. Um, I think that, the biggest thing for me has been understanding that Lucy is living in her own reality too. With the principle, there's understanding that we all live in separate realities.
Mm.
And I think sometimes as a mother and as a parent, and you have a small child, you can sometimes be caught up in your own reality so much that you forget that they're in their own little space as well, with their own thinking and their own understanding and comprehension of what's going on around them.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, being able to step back and say she's living in her own reality as well was very empowering.
Mm.
Because excuse me, I was able to honor that and to step back and say, well, this is how I feel and this is what I think, but I'm okay with her thinking and feeling what she's feeling too.
Mm.
So that was that was huge.
I just meant to ask, do you need to get a glass of water or something?
I have a glass of water,
You
yeah.
got, yeah, so if you want to take a sip.
Yeah. And another thing that I found really quite incredible was understanding that she has got her own wisdom as well.
Mm.
When I first started to understand the principles, I really got it when it came to adults, but I kind of forgot it when it came to Lucy. I was like, well, I'm the adult, so I've got to be the wisdom for both of us. And then I was reading a book by, I think it was Joe Bailey, and I'm trying to remember what it was called, Slowing Down to the Speed of Life.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it was called. And there was a small section on parenting in there, and about understanding that your child has their own wisdom as well. And for me, that was a real wake-up call, because I suddenly thought, yeah, she does. She's come into this world with her own little compass and her own perfect wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't need to interfere with that. I mean, I can guide her in the right direction and, make sure she doesn't go for a fall or touch the hot oven. But she's perfectly capable of figuring out everything for herself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that was huge.
Yeah.
That was, yeah.
I guess that is quite liberating for you as a parent and for her as well. I remember when I was a kid, I am the oldest of 4 sisters. And when I was a kid, my mom, she was more what you call hands-on. She was like, oh, Clésia, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? And my dad would be like, leave her alone. Because I guess she had all these ideas potentially from books and society, what I was supposed to be or do as a girl. And I wasn't interested in that. I was interested in painting and reading my books, and I could be happily for several hours reading my book and doing my paintings and not talking with anyone for a long, long time. And sometimes I would shift and I would go and play football with the little boys, and that's it. But I didn't felt, I was a kid. I was just exploring life, getting to learn what is to be alive. And I didn't have any attachment about her ideas or projections of what I was supposed to do. And I guess my dad was paramount in a sense of just reminding my mom to give me the space so that I could explore and become whatever I was becoming. So that was quite freeing. So even though my dad passed away several years ago, now and then. if I have this kind of my mom's voice, oh, you should be doing this and that, I kind of listen to my dad's voice, like, leave her alone.
Yeah, definitely. Do you know what was huge for me was because of my childhood and because I wasn't the happiest child, and I'm a very sensitive person, so I was like impacted by people around me, and they only needed to say something and I would be affected by it and take it on board. I think to begin with, like, I was so scared that was going to happen to Lucy, so I was trying to protect her all the time. And I think the principles just helped me to realize that nothing's going to break Lucy. She's got her own wisdom. She's fine.
Wow.
So I was really able to step back and just, you know, cut myself a bit of slack, and I think give her a bit more space as well. And just you know, I don't need to be there protecting her all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So that was good.
Yes. And listening what she needs as well, because you
Yeah.
got that, you're more open to what she's saying. She'll tell you what she needs.
Yes. Yes. Definitely.
Oh, and one of the things you did mention when we did our first pre-interview Skype call is that you were actually born in Zimbabwe. So how was it like for you to be born in Zimbabwe? I guess you, how can I say this in a politically correct way? I would say that most of the people that live around you were a little bit different from how you looked. I experienced that in reverse because I was born in Portugal, but my parents are actually from Angola. So how was it like for you to be born in Zimbabwe?
Well, you know, I didn't even think about it.
Right?
It's just, you know, it was just the way it was. And I look back on my childhood in Zimbabwe, you know, and it really, you know, goodness. Um, I lived on a farm, and you know, we had staff on the farm and things like that. And I was great friends with many of their children. We used to go fishing together on the farm, and they couldn't speak English, and I couldn't speak Shona, which is the local language. But we got on great, you know. We were just kids having fun. It didn't matter that we were different.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was the most incredible childhood.
Yeah. I had a similar experience in a sense that, yeah, we were like all kids. I never noticed. I never noticed that I was any different on the outside until I went to high school and I was actually, well, not bullied because they knew better than that, but until someone
Yeah.
pointed out, I never noticed that I was any different from in the outside at least. Yeah, but is that openness in the kids? It has to do with the connection from the inside out.
It definitely does, and it's there in all children. I mean, I don't think I started to really become aware of the difference until I went to school,
Mm-hmm.
and that's when I noticed the other children from farms and things like that. There was that barrier between them and the other children, and yeah, it's sad, really, you know, that happens. But it's human nature, isn't it?
Yeah. It
Can be.
it can be. It can be.
I don't think it's natural though, like underneath it all.
No. No, I don't feel is natural as well. And it's like from naturally what I'm talking is always from my perspective, my personal lens. But
Mm.
one of the many things that I love in life is traveling and getting to meet different people and different cultures. And it's that diversity and variety that is so abundant in the world because we are all different and we are even living in separate realities as well, that I find magical and curious, and what can we create together. If you want to play with me, if not, that's absolutely fine. I can go and play with someone else. But I love that interaction. I love the fact that we are different, and I love the fact that we see things differently. So I'm really curious, how do you see things? And this is how I see it. And does not mean that whatever I see is more important or less important, even what the other people see. But I'm just curious about their world. Yes, but I definitely love the variety about it.
Yeah, I do too. It's fascinating. I remember, you know, as a child, I used to love going into other people's houses and exploring their world. It fascinated me. You know, how do they live, and how do they do this, and how do they do that?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I remember as a child, you know, the children on the farm, they were so happy, and they had so little. You know, they used to wrap, you know, plastic shopping bags.
Mm-hmm.
They used to tie them all up and make them into a big plastic ball.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
That was their soccer ball. And they used to play for hours with that. And, you know, it was the simplest toy. Yeah, just so content with so little. It was quite incredible.
Yeah. And that occurred to me is that it has to do with being in contact with the source of creativity, right? Because it's like we are quite fortunate of living in a Western world. In a sense, there is abundance of resources, abundance of many things. And sometimes and there is plenty of marketing and media, and sometimes we are led to believe that in order to be happy, we need to acquire that. And we're not supposed to be happy at all, because it's a treadmill. You can't win this game. It's always, okay, you need to have the iPhone 5, but once you buy the 5, the 6 is already on a go. But then there is S. And if you don't have the super duper luxurious one, you can't be happy. You know, you're not doing great. And it was like, it's a madness. If we are, if we, it is, if we buy into the game of the outside in, and it is not like that at all. It's all a big illusion, just like big smoke screens. And yeah, that is not what makes you happy. You can go for the things because they are enjoyable, but do not be deluded to think that is what will bring you happiness, because happiness does not lie there.
Yeah, happiness and identity. You know, you're not a better person because you have the iPhone 5. You know, as opposed to the old bricks that we used to have. You know, it's crazy, isn't it? In the world that we live in now, we get so wrapped up in that. And it's very easy to get caught up in the illusion, but when you can step back, and I remember not so long ago, my Lucy and I, we went for a walk in the park, and I had my phone and I was just starting to pull it out of my pocket, and she said, "Oh, Mum, come and have a look at this." And we bent down together and we were looking at some moss. And she was saying, "Oh, look at all the different colors in it, you know, the green and the brown and this sort of thing." And there was a tiny little bug crawling on it. And we looked at that, you know, for a good 10 minutes or so. And it just occurred to me, you know, the magic in life and the magic in the world, and how incredible it is that we're here at all, you know, and how amazing life is. And we get so caught up in the busyness and social media and stuff like that. And sometimes, you know, it can be easy to just miss those little things. Yeah.
Yes, and sometimes we get so much wrapped up in activity that we forget to leave space to actually live life. Right? Yeah.
To laugh and play.
Yes. I love playing.
Yeah, dancing.
One of the things that I would like to bring is in terms of womanhood and the way women see themselves. And I'm over generalizing over here, because I know we are all different and we live in separate realities, separate worlds. But I'm seeing usually if sometimes that some ladies may feel that they're not in touch with their full potential and their full capacities, and they may be led to believe that the reason why they're not in touch with their full resources or resourcefulness or the source of life is because of someone else, or something that has been told to them by someone else, or the circumstances or society and so on. How do you see it from a 3P perspective? What is your understanding right now?
Well, my understanding is that your feelings are never coming from anything outside of you. It's only ever coming from your thought in the moment. So whilst it looks like the reasons are coming from what's going on outside you, it's not. It never is. It's only ever coming from your thinking. Because your feelings are always coming from your thinking. So I'm a big believer in, if you feel like you're not creating your potential, living your life to your full potential, is to make some space for yourself and just allow yourself to go inside and actually just ask. Because the wisdom's always there, and if you ask, it will come. So, it's allowing yourself some space to, go for a walk, find somewhere in nature, and just go, well, if everything else, if it's nothing to do with anything outside of me, what can I do from within? Show me from within. And the answers will come.
True. And I had several experiences of that. Can I give an example?
I'd love to hear.
And has to do with specifically with how the womanhood from the inside out was actually created. I was speaking with a coach yesterday about that, and is that sometimes we find ourselves in a kind of a crossroad, and we would like to decide what to do next. Maybe we have been in the same career for 10 years. It's not as juicy as it used to be. And you've been doing other stuff on the side for a long time. And we can tell ourselves, I don't know what to do next. I'm on a crossroad. What should I go for? And what my coach yesterday was telling me, she was, well, is that I believe that people always know what to do next. They know about the next step, but they think that in order to take action, they need to know the next 10 steps. And it's not the way it works. So it will make sense in a moment. So coming back to the womanhood from the inside story. So I was doing other things already. I was collaborating with two other ladies. And one of these days, I was on my way to the gym. So I was walking to the gym. So I guess it's the space, creating the space you were talking about. So walking to the gym, I was reflecting about some feedback I had on the show that I was doing with someone else. And then an idea came to me. It was like, oh, womanhood from the inside out. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that would be cool. So this wasn't a Tuesday. The idea just came to me like that. It was a kind of automatic download. And almost,
Beautiful.
I thought it's almost like a collaboration with the idea. The idea came to me and said, Clésia, can you bring me to the world?
Oh, that's
Can
beautiful.
you bring me to the world of form? And I was like, I'm on it, girlfriend.
Oh, beautiful. I love it.
So what
Love
I
it.
did, I put a request straight away. I had the idea what I was supposed to do. I put a request straight away. This was on Tuesday afternoon into a couple of groups and say, I've got this idea. I'm looking for 3 people to come on my show as guests. If you're interested, please send me a private message because I want people who take action, right?
Hmm.
So I had a lot of interest, people saying, oh yeah, I would love to, but they weren't sending me private messages. However, within an hour, I had someone coming to me straight away, was like, yes, I'm on it. I haven't got a clue what you're doing, but I'm on it. I was like, that's my kind of girl.
Brilliant.
So we schedule a Skype call for the following day to discuss details and say, okay, this is only a concept. I just had the idea. So we spoke about what could we do, how could we promote it, and I say, this is what I'm seeing, this is how it came. So she put some more information in, so it became more of a form. And brilliant. So when can we record it? So the only day she would have available would be Saturday, in same way as I would, because after that I would be busy for the following 3 weeks. So we scheduled to record the first episode on that Saturday. I published the first episode on Sunday, and that's how it was created. So basically, it was Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. 5 days. Within 5 days, it was from idea to execution, and the feedback has been tremendous. And we're just getting started.
Yeah.
So why this? Yeah, the reason why I'm sharing this is an example, right? When you don't put too much thinking into it. That I do planning. People know me. They know that I'm
Yeah.
very organized, and naturally I do planning. But when the inspiration comes to you, if you get a certain feeling, and the more you do it, the more you attune you become to that feeling.
Yes.
Just do it. And what I didn't do, I didn't put any barriers or blocks in a sense of, oh my God, what people gonna think, what will be the feedback. No, because I was completely embraced, and I embraced the idea as well. I say, and I wasn't too attached to the outcome. When I had the idea, I didn't have a clue that we would have almost. Let me see. The last time I checked, more than 400 views.
It's
So
incredible.
yes, and it keeps going up. So I was like, how does it get any better than that?
It's amazing.
Yes.
Yeah. Because by nature, I do tend to overthink things. That's, it's, it's something I do. And I always say it's that first feeling before you add the thoughts to it. That first, that would be beautiful. And then you go, oh no, but, da 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 da. And that's when you start adding stuff. And then you end up not doing it. So it's running with that. Like you had that inspiration, that insight, this is what you wanted to create, and just ran with that with no attachment to the outcome.
Absolutely. I had no idea that people would get impacted as much as they are. And most importantly, how I'm getting impacted by it. And how I'm getting change and how I'm transforming just by collaborating with this idea. Yeah.
Because I think often, I think most of we never, I remember somebody once said to me, well, you don't know what you're going to think next. So how can you possibly know what's going to happen next? And I think, life is sometimes, if we can live it like we're walking in a fog and we can see, one foot in front of the other, but we can't see what's around the corner. We can't see what's 10 steps ahead. And if you can be open to that and just understand life's not linear, it's, you might wake up one day and go, this is what I really want. And the next day you go, actually, no, definitely not. And being open to that, not beating yourself up about it. Allowing, I think, we get right from a young age, children are told, you've got to know what you're going to do for your subjects, and then you've got to know what you're going to do at university and what you're going to do for the rest of your life. It's crazy. I didn't know what I wanted to do when I was 18. I didn't think I'd be doing what I'm doing now, that's for sure.
Yes. Yeah, and it's being open to that. Yes, to the whispers.
The whispers.
Yeah, the whispers of your curiosity, and just follow that. Belinda, this has been lovely, and I feel that we come into a natural conclusion for today's show. Where can people find you?
Well, my website's belindabennetts.co.uk. Otherwise, Facebook, Belinda Bennetts.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what is your address on Facebook?
It is Belinda Bennetts.
Okay.
Yeah. Belinda Bennetts.
That's wonderful. So I'll put something underneath also so people can find you. So for me, if people would like to find me, you can go to www.facebook.com /Clésia.Mendes, and I'll spell that. So that would be facebook.com /CLESIA.MENDES, or you can go straight to my website. So that would be www.clesiamendes.com. Belinda, before you go, what would be your parting thoughts for our audience in a perspective of being a mother and your personal transformation?
I would say, love yourself, trust yourself, and look inside yourself. Yeah, love yourself, trust yourself, look inside yourself.
Oh, that's beautiful. And mine, I would like to say, for the people who are on Facebook, I wrote something and I had a couple of comments, which was, what talents do you have that you're not aware of yet? And just stay with that. Oh, Belinda, thank you very much. And
thank you.
Thank you for coming. Bye-bye.
Bye.